You know, council tax is one of those bills we all absolutely hate. I remember all the fuss over it when it first came to be after all the poll tax riots back in the, early 90s now, really, wasn't it? I was a young kid at the time, but I remember how worried my mum was about how we were going to afford to live and the transition between the two. If you believe council tax has got out of control, then subscribe to the channel, because I'm sure you won't be alone, and we cover this from time to time. The idea of this video, I saw an interesting debate before Christmas. It wasn't a debate, really. It was more of a reaction to a video that came out by a couple of YouTubers. One of them was Richard Vobes, and the other was the Black Belt Barrister. Richard Vobes received a communication from somebody about an apparent judgment that happened in a court to do with council tax. The net result of it was assumed that council tax is now unenforceable. Really, there's a lot of stuff on YouTube, a lot of stuff in media, and a lot of stuff everywhere else about whether you should or shouldn't pay council tax. Now, I put a challenge out months ago. I think I called it something like Andy's Council Tax Challenge. And I challenged anybody to come to me with evidence that they haven't paid council tax for an amount of time and been getting away with it. Put it on screen in front of everybody so we could see what was going on. I'm yet to have a response. Now, we've got straw man, we've got Magna Carta, we've got all the other arguments for and against whether we should pay council tax or not. But at the end of the day, those laws, whether we like them or not, are there, and they will make our lives very, very difficult. So I take the tack of you have to work within the laws that are put in front of you to try and better your odds. Now, Black Belt Barrister did a video on Richard's thing in response and basically rubbished the entire thing and called it a load of nonsense. And I put links to both of those videos below so you can go and watch them for yourself. I put them in chronological order, so, one after the other. The tack I tend to take when I mention working within the law, one of the main things that happens when you get behind with council tax, like anything else, and, this is not legal advice, this is just my opinion. I am a taxi driver after all, not a lawyer. Is people stick their head up their backside and hope the problem goes away. And of course, it seldom does. It just gets worse and worse and worse. And not only credit cards, loans, council tax, electricity bills, anything like that, you can cause yourself a great deal of grief, because like it or not, all the straw man talk in the world is not going to help you. You have to learn to use what you've got in front of you to your advantage. Now, when a council gets to a point where they feel they're not going to, get what they want, they're going to go through their whole supposed legal process. And I have my opinions about that as well, which I'm not going to share in this video. I have done before. And, where we know what the situation is there. If you ignore that process, it will then go to enforcement. And you start getting people harassing you, haranguing you, and all sorts of other things. And this is what we need to stop. We need to stop the council taking that council tax debt and transferring it to an enforcement agent. That's what you need to stop. As long as you can keep it with the council and negotiate with them, then it solves an awful lot of issue. The council or councils actually have a big book about that thick on proper procedure, how they have to deal with council tax. I've seen it. You can actually buy a copy if you know where to look. Now, what you have to do, I refer you to this site, Beat the Bailiffs. There's an awful lot of information on here, which I've used to great effect many, many times. This is a thing called the 4-letter process. And if you start getting hassled, this is what you have to send to, a combination of the council and any enforcement agent stroke debt collectors to try and force a situation where the council takes the debt back and you deal with them directly, because they're going to want to clear the arrears in a set amount of time, which is usually unaffordable for everybody. So they start doing this. And this gives all the information about, procedure, everything else, and, what the council's actually allowed to do and what they try and get away with. And it's got all the letter templates on there where you can get this dealt with. And there are many, many success stories on there. The fact of the matter is, if you tackle it head on, then it's going to be okay because you can deal with it. But there is so much information out there. A lot of it is correct, and an equal portion is wrong. And if you're not careful, you will get caught out. I'll leave you with this, though, which is something that's always puzzled me. We look at councils. Thanet Council, for example, is mine, a local authority. If you go on Companies House and type in Thanet Council, you'll find that Thanet Council is an actual company, a registered company on there. Now, in my view, if I do business with a company and, I get my rubbish cleared, I get police, I get fire, I get all the rest of it, that's them providing a service in return for payment, which is usually negotiated via way of a contract. Now, with council tax, there seems to be an awful lot of assumption. And again, I'm just spitballing here. They give me a demand and they assume I'm going to pay it. But surely if it's a company and the whole system just stinks to me. And I'd love somebody to explain it to me. Why is it like that? When did it change? And for what purpose? It stinks. But my advice, keep it with the council. Anyway, thank you. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you want to see any of my other council tax related videos, you can start with that one there. I look forward to talking to you again soon. Toodaloo.